Hey everybody, welcome to Get to Know Your Wedding Pro. My name is Reed with Best Made Videos. We are a wedding videography company based out of West Seattle, Washington. And I'm so excited today to be joined by Courtney Lewis and Lisa Quam of the 525 down in Buckley. And I want to thank you guys so much. I know I had the opportunity to be out at your guys' place last April. I guess it feels like centuries ago now. And then I know we connected at the Northwest Event Show and just been talking about coming on the podcast. I'm so glad we could schedule that. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves and tell us who you are and what you do?
Great. My name is Lisa, and I'm the owner of the 525 Weddings and Event Venue. And Courtney here works for me.
Yeah, so I'm Courtney Lewis. I'm the manager, and it's Lisa and I, between the two of us, we kind of handle all the ins and outs of everything to do with the venue and planning process. We've been working together since probably about 6 months before the venue opened, 6 to 9 months. So yeah.
That's great. Yeah. And it's a cool place. I remember I'd never, cause it's fairly new, right? You guys took it over. Yes. And I remember that we had kind of a last minute, they needed the wedding ceremony. And it's a cool place. Kind of tell me, for people that don't know, what's the property like?
Well, the property is out in Buckley, so it's not too far off 410, so it's easy to get to. It was a former Lutheran church. So when I bought it, me and a friend just stumbled on it. We were out in Buckley. She was looking for some commercial property, and she's a realtor friend. And we actually just stumbled on it. And I said, oh, this property isn't big enough, and then we realized it came with the building and everything else. And it was just your rectangle white shaped building with a big steeple on the front of it, and it looked ugly.
And orange carpet.
Orange carpet inside, black iron railing and all that. But the church had previously decided to try to sell it, and it didn't go through. And they were down to like 13 parishioners. So it was harder for them to manage. They were all in the elderly. They had lost the patriarch of the church. And so I looked at it as a blank slate. My family thought it was crazy, but I knew, plain and simple as far as the structure of the building was really the way to start a great foundation.
Awesome. Getting in, it just seems, out of the blue, right? Hey, I'm going to buy a wedding venue, or I'm going to start a wedding venue. Where did this come from?
Well, I was fortunate to retire from Boeing early. My husband and I both. They were both very good to us. And I had a business, with my mom for about 20 years. We did antiques and depression glass and sold to a lot of antique shows and so forth. And my mom passed away about 9 years now, and it just didn't have my heart back into it. So I just kind of let that go, and I kept most of the inventory. Like, what am I going to do with this? And then one night it just came to me, well, why don't I rent that stuff? Because the market had kind of fallen away. You couldn't sell antiques very well for the price that they deserved. And so my daughter and I turned that into a decor rental company. So out of that, for the 525, just like, what are my next steps in my life? And we had, being in the Macy and Lola Decor Rental Company, which is one of our sister companies. Now she's exclusive to the 525. Where do we take this? And we've been to all these different venues. Well, if I owned one, this is what I would do, And so we just took the best parts of everything and every wedding that we'd ever been to and see what we can incorporate here to make it special and unique for couples.
When we do tours, that's one of the common remarks is, wow, you guys really thought of everything. And I said, well, it's because Lisa has been to so many venues, and she had that mental list of what works well, where are the sticking points, and how can I alleviate those for our couples, and just have as much as possible built into the venue, photo ops built in, projector screen built in, ways to hang things on the wall, just little things like that make a big difference when it comes to our couples being able to really personalize the venue to their style. She thought through all that ahead of time. So it's pretty awesome.
It was fun to do the remodel and incorporate all of that.
Yeah.
Well, and what's the coolest part about it? Because I remember the day that we were out there, they didn't know with rain. It was like early April, and we still didn't know, and it was like up to the minute, and they were trying to figure out, okay, we're going to do it inside or we're going to do it outside. what was great was, I thought it was just this beautiful inside, which, I think some people, it's always that mentality, right? Like, okay, it's got to be outside and my world is going to end if we can't have this outdoor wedding. And honestly, like from a videographer standpoint with lighting and sound and just consistency, like sometimes having a really nice, beautiful indoor ceremony is just as great, and then you don't have to worry about, the elements sometimes taking away. So it's great that you kind of have, it's a lot of flexibility there, throughout.
Right. And that was the key, flexibility is being flexible. And one of the big decisions that we made kind of early on was, okay, we needed a parking lot or do we need a tent? Which would serve us better? Resurfacing the parking lot, because honestly, they're about the same amount of money.
Yeah.
And so now, especially in today's environment, the tent has really served us well. Yeah, as well as a secondary place to hold functions and receptions outside.
Yeah, we have the 44 by 63 Tidewater sailcloth tent. It's the double peak. It's really beautiful. And our first 2 seasons, we were like, gosh, there's only like one person or two that are renting this. Was this a good business decision? And now this year, it's everybody wants the tent. And it is really a beautiful backup as far as like you were talking about earlier, Reed, with if it's going to rain, is it not going to rain? You can truly have an outdoor ceremony under the tent. You can have dinner under the tent, and then it really provides a nice transition to move to the different areas of the venue. And we're so happy now that we made that decision. And this is just one example of how we really treat our couples and our clients, that tent, we adjust the price to what makes sense. Okay, how many couples this year are renting it? What are our expenses? And we just spread that across. So we don't have the tent as a way to make more money. It's really about more flexibility and more options for our couples. And so we were able to this year and next year keep that cost really low for that peace of mind, and the peace of mind it provides of no matter what, our guests are comfortable and taken care of. It's huge. And they still, on the flip side, they have a beautiful tent, but they also have indoor restrooms and indoor bridal suite and that floor to ceiling fireplace inside, which provides more photo ops. So you really do get the best of both worlds with indoor and outdoor.
Yeah, I love that fireplace.
I remember doing a wedding up in Arlington. It was actually my daughter's friend, and we went to that wedding venue. It's no longer in business. I believe at the time it was called the Wild Rose. And they had cottages for the bridal party and the groom's party on property. And then they had a tent. That was their 3 structures. And I went, I like this idea. I think the cottage idea, how can I use that? And so out of that bore the cottage that we have on the property as well.
Well, and honestly, just with the tent too, just with everything going on now, I mean, having plentiful outdoor seating with open air, I mean, for years is going to have to be, so important, right? And something that I think, people are just, honestly, not to date the podcast too much, but with everything going on, I mean, that's going to be huge, is for you guys to be able to accommodate that and for people to be outside and be.
It is. Safe. We did so much brainstorming related around the tent that we could do drive up weddings, and have cars parked on the outside of the tent even, and have the couple inside. You could sit inside. You can have the couple at one end, the other. We've kept some of the original structures of the church, like the brick signs, which is really great photo ops, and different seating configurations underneath. We did a spiral one and put the couple inside, and everybody was 6 feet apart. And it looks so cool, but we don't have a taker on that one, but yet. But it gives us an avenue for creativity as well to help brainstorm and like, how can we meet this need and do it in such a different way, but be creative and be, I don't want to call it different or unique, but it's just special to the couple. If they want it that way, we would love to show them however way they want to see it.
So Courtney, how did you get involved in all this?
Well, so Lisa and I have known each other a long time. We have to figure out exactly how many years. It's going to make me feel old if I say how many years. So my husband is a high school teacher and soccer coach. And so I originally met Lisa because he was a coach for both of her kids And then my little sister was a teammate of her daughter. So I remember just sitting in the soccer bleachers, chatting with Lisa. I was, back then before I had kids, I went to every single game. And
House college life.
Yes.
And
we stayed in touch over the years. And I also used to work for Boeing, and I worked in business operations. And I, through each job I had, I always felt myself, I would always kind of gravitate towards any opportunity for special events, event planning, community, even though my job was more technical. And actually that's something Lisa and I have in common. We both have that analyst background, which serves us well as far as we can get all of the processes in line, but then we also are super creative. And so it's kind of a good meld of the both. So anyway, we reconnected at my sister's baby shower, and my sister had told me a little bit about Lisa bought this old church, but I didn't really know the whole story. And I, at that time, had 2 kids. Yes, I had 2. So I have 3 daughters. At the time I had 2, and I had left Boeing just to find more flexibility. And I was working at the YMCA down in Sumner in their membership and volunteer program down there, which was a great, interim position. I got to do a lot with the community. And, but I always knew there was something, what's my next step? I wasn't really sure. Lisa and I got to talking, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm opening a venue, and I just need to find someone who wants to help me run it. And I'm like, hello, Lisa. And she's like, what are you up to?
What are you up to these days? And remind me what you did at Boeing, and send me your resume. And because, once people hear that you're going to open up a wedding venue, everybody wants to work for you. Mm-hmm. But it was really, for me, is finding that great mix of who that person was and how that person portrays themselves in front of the public, and really my business forefront person. And Courtney really fit the bill. I couldn't have asked for a better manager to help me run the business. So,
Well, and I think too, it's, we both can kind of, Lisa's real, I am creative, but she's like a whole next level of just her mind and the visionary. So she has that. And then I kind of keep her organized and reel her in a little bit sometimes, but it's it's like a yin yang. I think we balance each other out. And it was just kind of it was that perfect. I just tell her all the time, I knew I was that type of person. I always had, straight A's. I could do anything, but I knew I wanted a job where I really could use all of my different skills and bring them together and help people. And this, working at the 52Five, we were just so blessed to meet so many wonderful families and couples, and really go home at night and feel good about what we're doing.
Yeah.
And we do actually do quite a bit of philanthropy as well, because that is another common thread with us, that it's just ingrained in us from very young ages to be supporting community and doing volunteer work. So we've really tied that into the venue as well. I'll let you tell them about that.
So the venue is, our neighbors is the Buckley fire station, which seems kind of like odd neighbors, but they're a silent alarm system, which means they don't turn on the sirens. It's a large building, but it's a training center. We love having them close by. They're very quiet. And so you don't really see sirens on until they hit the road and they go left or right, and it's done. But one of the things that the fire station does is they have a giving tree every year. And so they support all the kids in the community. And so, you have tags and you have names and ages, and they pull out the tags. So we started Santa photos. Courtney, in her past, had connected up with a really great Santa. And he has the live beard and everything, and he loves to do volunteer work. And so we asked him to come to the 525, and now we're going on 3 years of that. Mm-hmm. So we host it out in our cottage. So the cottage turns into Santa's cottage with a Christmas tree and a green couch and Christmas music and stories that Santa reads to children. And we ask for donations only. We don't set a price because we know some families can afford it and some can't. And then we host all the other families in the large part of the building. So each family gets one-on-one time with Santa. You don't have to stand in line, and the parents can take their pictures, or we have a photographer come and take them, or we have a Paisley Peaks photo booth has also taken photos for those. And it's great to see Santa. You can peer through the window and he's reading stories and the kids' eyes light up. And even if there's a child that's kind of afraid to come into the building, the cottage, he will step out onto the porch and he'll engage them out on the lawns. And eventually they come sit on his lap on the porch. But it's really brilliant to see that. And he's really great. So that's one of our big things that we do every year. And in fact, the first year it sold out, we had to turn people away. The second year we added a second day. And we'll see with COVID, we're still planning on doing that. But we'll see how that's going to turn out. And we'll put our creative minds together to see how we can still have Santa and be able to have that and give to the fire station. And what's great about it is it's like usually their last day of their giving tree. And so we give them all these funds and they go buy all the rest of the presents they need underneath that tree. So it's great.
Don't you like that you can, and I know Courtney too, you were talking about just all the different skills you have in Lisa and all the different ideas and I just think it's so fun. You always hear all the time about people like at their work and it's like, well, I wish I could do this or I want to go do that or, I wish that my boss or whoever, but like you guys, if you have an idea, whether it's a program or a decor thing or a tent or, all these different things, but you can really, I just think it's so cool with, self-entrepreneurship or whatever, working for this sort of thing that you can really just experiment and do whatever you want, and really see it come to fruition.
Yeah, I always say the one word that's not in the vocabulary of the 525 is complacency. We're always thinking of what we're going to do next and what can we do different and how can we get creative. And it makes it so every event is different. Every week is different. And
every time we have an event, we feel blessed because we either learn something from that to move forward, whether it be something as simple as, we need to change a verbiage in our contracts. Or, gee, that's another group that we should reach out to. Or I didn't think about doing work for them because we've done school auctions at the 525. We've let's see, what's the other one?
We even had a political fundraiser.
Yeah. Beyond Building Beyond.
Oh yeah, we had Building Beyond the Walls. That's another community organization. And the nice thing about doing those types of events, because we are open year round, so we have that flexibility that it doesn't have to be only weddings. We can do all different events. And each time we host something like that, every single time, I will say, I think I can even say 100% of the time.
Yeah.
We end up, it leads to something, even if it's like a year down the road, when somebody will call, say, oh, I attended that auction and now my daughter's getting married and I love your venue. So it's just nice that in the space feels, it transforms with a type of event that's happening. So even just recently, there's two sisters. One is getting married at the venue and the other one's hosting a celebration of life. And it's not like weird for them because it looks so different in the different types of, gathering that you're hosting. The space is called intimate yet grand. So if it is a small event, you can make that indoor hall feel super cozy. You're not
feel like your living room. Feel like you're sitting in your living room, a large living room.
Like baby showers, we have couches so they can sit on the couch and it's cozy. But then if you have, a winter wedding with 175 people, we can also do that comfortably in this space. Just of all of the furniture really is mobile. Even the bar is on wheels. So we can really get creative with how we set it up so you're comfortable, but you can also fit everything you're needing to accommodate.
Right. And the fireplace really helps. Those are rocks that I'd searched for 6 months to fabricate this floor to ceiling stone fireplace. And it was really, the design of that was, you spoke about that earlier, was a culmination of 7 of us between the carpenters and the builders and myself. And I just gave them a blank piece of paper and the shape. And I said, design how you think the stone should be. And I literally cut it apart like a puzzle and put everybody's piece in it. So it was a teamwork of 7 of us that designed that fireplace. And it has a little bit of movement, and it's truly kind of gives us our nod to the Pacific Northwest, because we've had recently a lot of clients are saying this feels like true Northwest. So we have large beams and we have stone in the fireplace. We have it outside at the fire pit. We have it outside at the ceremony site, and some huge beams for our outdoor arbor. and wood floors. We have a Juliet balcony that really makes it special. And
just all the trees. There's a huge green belt right behind our outdoor ceremony site, and so it's protected land back there. And we even planted secondary trees inside our fence, which have really taken off this year. And it makes you feel, you're in nature, but you're not so remote that it's inconvenient to get to. So it's kind of that nice sweet spot.
Yeah. Yeah. The trees have doubled in size, and they're probably currently getting upwards of 12 feet tall.
Yeah.
At least. So one more year and they'll be you won't know there's anyone else around you. So when you come into the venue, it'll be really secluded and private, and you won't care that, there's houses blocks over or something. So that was kind of the plan for that.
Well, and with the fire department nearby, it has to be the safest venue, in the history of the
right. I know. It's so Lisa and I, and then even our support team, our extended 525 team, mostly female, we're there sometimes late at night, but I feel very safe. It's like you have built-in security right next door, and they have helped us before, just silly things, just us being clumsy when we're there working.
Locked a closet.
Yeah.
Our purses and our keys are inside of it, and we've locked ourselves out of it.
They definitely know how to get doors open. So, they're great. They really are great neighbors to have, and we're so happy that they're so polite. We always offer them, come over on open house days. We have leftover food. They never take us up on it, but they finally, after all these years, now they're having a meeting. They asked if they could borrow our lawn. Like, of course you can borrow our lawn.
Our lawn. That's all they ask for.
They don't even want tables. They're like, we don't need tables.
Our lawn.
Just your grass. First. Like, well, we're going to set up tables and chairs too. But they're awesome neighbors to have. They really are.
I just remember back when I used to do a lot more yoga before I ran my own business. And we had a lady one day, we were across the street from a fire department. You could see it out the window, and she had dislocated her hip or something. She had a hip replacement. And so it was like a fake, my mom has whatever too. And anyway, it pops out. And you see the fire truck go out, and then they just come across the street.
We would joke that they could just hop over the fence. We used to put a gate on the backside, so they just need to go 20 feet and they'd be on our property or something.
Thankfully, they've only had to, that's only been for I don't even know if you want to get into that story. Somebody in this room had a special ride to a hospital once, but Liz will tell the tale. We don't use big ladders anymore. No. We'll just say that.
Lisa's prohibited from climbing on the ladders.
Yeah. That's awesome. I want to know, what was it like, reactions when you said you're going to open the venue, to family and friends and things? You had said earlier, of course, everyone, wants to be involved or has an idea. I mean, you hear all the time. I mean, I think I've even said on one of the podcasts before, I remember meeting one of my wedding couples, and they were saying well, once we get married, that's our dream, is we're going to open a wedding venue. And I thought, let's at least get you down the aisle, and then you can talk about, we're still 9 months out from your wedding day. Let's at least, but obviously, right, you must get used to it, right? Where hey, I'm starting a venue, and everyone's like, okay, well, whatever. But to do it and actually do it, and now it's years later. I mean, what was that like? Starting out and the reaction.
Well, it was a lot of hard work. It was just me and the builder. Pretty much, sometimes he thought he knew what was right, and I knew what I wanted it to because it was my vision. And it really helped to bring Courtney on. Yeah, all my relatives, not all, there's a handful that want to say, yeah, I'll come work for you. And actually, there are some that come, and some of them volunteer their time just because they like being in this atmosphere. I know my cousin, she lives down south, and her husband, we had a large wedding, and we needed extra hands-on because we knew it was a 300-person wedding. And I didn't want to burn everybody out for working a full 12 hours. So they came and volunteered their time. And then she's come a couple times, and just because it's a happy place, and it's great to see the celebration. It's great to see the love. And so we do have two sister companies that kind of, I talked about Macy and Lola. decor rentals that my daughter and I had before even a venue was a glimmer in my eye, I say.
Mm-hmm.
And then another one that established is Paisley Peak's photo booth. So my daughter-in-law owns the photo booth, and so it's a real portable photo booth, so she can put it in different areas of the venue, and she travels to other venues as well. So it's kind of like on a tripod. You can catch it on the dance floor, you can catch it during the ceremony, you can catch it at the front door if you want. So we pulled that in as part of our packages, because what we found during the first year and second year in our packages that everybody wanted that. It's such a great thing to have. I haven't seen one in the Pacific Northwest yet like it. Mm-hmm. And so this year we just incorporated it into our larger packages. And so we offer decor now, and we offer the photo booth as well. So that kind of pulled the family in. Yeah. And, I have 2 adult children that have families, and I told them at some point, mom would like to leave them a legacy. And I thought this would be a great, happy business should they choose to do that. And I don't know if they will, but time will tell. Let me finish building it up, and at some point I think I'll let it go. But it's been a treat.
And it is fun every time we have like open house or any type of community event. Every single time there's family from both sides there. They want to stay like, please let us stack all the chairs. They love to help.
They are so supportive. Yeah, they stack the chairs. Yeah. They come to our events. They come to our open houses. They bring their friends. Yes, and like my dad, shout out to my dad. He is the best supporter. He comes and helps fix things, repair things, or if it has to do with a lawnmower, he's out here helping me. And because we do all that by ourselves. I don't hire outside companies. No. I kind of believe in hiring friends and family. Mm-hmm. If you want to be supportive of this business, then we welcome you to come help.
My husband was just out a couple weeks ago hanging lights in our tent, and I think back even to our very first wedding that day before when we were just scrambling all those little loose ends, from cleaning up construction dust to pressure washing. We had your nephew, my husband, his cousin, like it just everybody there. And it makes it fun because then they are all more, invested in the venue as well, because they feel it, they're a part of it as well, even if it's not. Yeah. And it's almost better, I feel like, having it be like the little, the fun, like event preparation, event day, then they don't have to get bogged down in all the day-to-day, finances and contracts. They can just be there with us for part of the celebration, and it makes it really fun for everyone.
Yeah. Our first, we call it our friends and family event. We had just about 200 people at that one. And so that was great. And we provided them a great dinner. Nods to Blue Ribbon Catering, because I love their food. And I love it when they come out, and they supported us in that one. And then this year, unfortunately, the COVID, we had planned another friends and family event, and it was a magician. But that couldn't happen quite because of the social distancing. So we're thinking of a murder mystery party. Maybe we'll have it the 525 and have our friends or family. So we're going to toss around some other ideas. What else might happen to that?
We've even had, so my 2 older daughters had a Star Wars birthday party in that main hall where you normally have something beautiful set up. They turned it into Star Wars. So they had lightsaber battles. They had a
balancing beam that they could balance on, and
our projector screen, which is normally used for slideshows during a wedding. It was for learning the Wookiee dance. So we like having our family and friends enjoy the space too, and make their memories there as well. Yeah.
What was the biggest learning, challenge, whatever, coming into this, owning a venue? What was something maybe you thought would be easier that you were surprised about? I do think that this is, a learning process in this podcast, and I think that we all feed off each other. What was something that you never anticipated being as hard as it was?
That is a tough one. I think when, like Lisa mentioned, because she kind of mentioned it earlier, of just the contracts. I mean, we are in this industry because we love love. We love relationships. We love helping people, but it's sometimes hard to recognize that not everybody is going to be on the same page.
Yeah.
And how do we support? It's easy to support those amazing clients who we always say our clients really are 525 family. They become part of the 525 family. But every once in a while, that's a challenge when you do work with a client that just, for whatever reason, doesn't see eye to eye and
haven't quite connected.
Yeah. And just knowing how to protect ourselves as a business, but still provide that great service. And thankfully, I mean, that's very rare that happens. But even our very first wedding, it was a family member, and just realizing, okay, we do have to have rules. We do have to have some, which just knowing it's okay to be a stickler on certain
aspects. That's the hardest part. I think that's the hardest part, is knowing when to say no.
Yeah.
No, we don't allow marijuana smoking on the property. That was a real eye-opener for me.
Yeah. And we don't allow shots. We learned that in the very first wedding. Like, you can have mixed drinks. We're okay with that. But like, there's certain things that just need to be in place, and we have good reason for it.
Yeah. I want people to have a good time, but I don't want it to be like a frat party or sorority party, everybody hanging around the bar. It's really more than that. It's about connecting with friends and family and this new relationship that's just been established, and the love of this couple or whatever the event might be. Mm-hmm. And so we just turn that into a more positive outlook on it. Yeah. So, we have a separate smoking area now that we segregate. And it needs to be a distance away from the building, because we didn't think at first we needed to have that. But we definitely do. That's about the only thing, we really come from a strong business background and process oriented. So we had that part nailed down. Mm-hmm. We don't have any questions about that. In fact, if you would come to my house and you would have looked at my patio door, there was Post-it notes framed, 2 glass doors of processes. Yeah. And then when we decided on our system that we're going to use, we would pull them off one at a time. This incorporate this one, this one. Yeah. And
just to make sure we're all covered in our workflow, that we're not missing any of those key steps. So our clients, their contract and all of the process piece of it is very organized, and planners that work with us love it, because they're like, honestly, you guys have done some of the planning already, so we can just be there that month before, day of, and really execute everything. But it helps us too. We are more hands-on, I would say, than many venues, which has its pros and cons, but we see it really as a positive, because if we're more informed, it makes it easier for us to refer them what are the pieces they need, that they might, need a videographer last minute, or they need a food truck last minute, but then also it sets us up for success. If we have met with them and we're hearing the details, then we, know preemptively, like, oh, wait, there's going to be a dog. We need to know that ahead of time. So that's not a problem on the day of. It can just be something that we've arranged for and we've planned for. So
if we plan for it, we can be successful for it.
We try not to say no unless it's a safety issue.
Right.
So,
I think that kind of leads us into, we have our client lounge. So we'll talk a little bit about that, Courtney.
Yeah. So our client lounge, it's an online portal. Each client gets their own online access, so they can get to their contract, their invoice, driving directions. We have just a very general checklist, and it's not to the detailed level of like a planner. We actually do require our clients now have a day of coordinator, to have someone to handle all those ins and outs. But it does have, just the basics of which vendors do you have? We have a swing out at our ceremony site. Would you like the swing up during photos?
What time do you want the fire pit turned
what time
on?
do you want the fire pit on? Because that's one thing we learned. If you put it on too early, people are going to disappear to the fire pit, and you won't be able to find them for toast. But we just incorporate, and we update it periodically too, with what are the questions that we're always asking that we don't really need to ask, that we just put it in the checklist, and then we can provide that to any of the vendors that need it. Their coordinator has access to the client lounge. If mom or dad needs to have access, they're helping with payments. It just keeps everyone on the same page, and it makes it nice. You don't have to go scramble and dig through emails to find something. Because, if you're booking a venue a year out, maybe you don't remember what the contract said a month before. So it just keeps it very organized and lowers the stress level.
Yeah, that's a big deal. It lowers the stress level for everyone involved.
What's your guys' favorite part of the process? Is it, is it meeting the new clients? Is it seeing the wedding day? Is it, walking in when they get to see their show? What do you guys, and you can both talk about that, but what do you guys enjoy most about that part of it?
Yeah.
For me, it's seeing them start to walk down the aisle, because if I am upstairs on the balcony, I get that overhead look that I can see the bride ready to walk down the aisle. I love that moment, because they just, all of a sudden it's like lights on and they're beaming from ear to ear. And that's one of my favorites. I love that. They're getting people ready. If there's kids in the wedding, they're holding hands, and I love that part.
It is hard to pick just one moment. I think I've noticed I really love first dances, because it pulls in, well, like last weekend, for example, this particular couple, they really truly are part of the 525 family. The bride's daughter, after they booked with us, we were just chit-chatting like we normally do. And we needed help with weeding. And she's like, my daughter is super responsible. And we're like, are you sure she likes to weed? Because people will say they like to help, but she was amazing. She helped us all last summer. And so during first dances and like father-daughter dance and bride and groom dance, and even like the daughter came up and danced with her mom, and she's seeing all of it come full circle of these people that throughout the process, we usually do get to know their family, because they come back. That's one thing with our couples. We don't just see them at contract signing and then that's it. They come back at least for 2 meetings on site to talk about decor and layout. But anytime we have open houses, like most of our clients are there. Santa photos, they come for Santa photos. We had last year, it was 3 generations that were there for Santa photos. And we even had a couple that they had gotten a photo with Santa and then got engaged shortly after that. And it turned out the wedding date they chose just happened to be, they didn't plan it, but it was Santa photos day again.
So behind the scenes, guess who worked her magic? We called Santa and said, hey, Santa, would you be willing to do this? Yeah. Last year they came and got their photos there, and then they got engaged and they're getting married at the 525 now. Yeah. So we kind of did behind the scenes and got Santa, and Santa gave them the best. He gave them
a toast.
A toast.
Yeah. And it was just so nice. Cute. And I got very off track, because you can tell we're both passionate about what we do, but the first dance, I think that's when normally, those first few activities of the ceremony were like busy. And then the first dance, like you just pause and kind of take it all in. And that's when all those stories kind of come back to me, and just seeing it all come full circle. It's really special. And it's different each time too. Sometimes that's on the patio, sometimes that's inside. Last weekend, the bride even had planned a special hula. She's Hawaiian, and her husband didn't know that she had learned the wedding hula, and it's just really neat to see all the personality come into it. And we really love learning people's stories.
The personal aspect of it. Do you remember that? Do you remember that, speaking of Hawaiian, that family where the daughter came and said, I want to plan a 50th surprise birthday party for my mom.
Yep.
So she had 12 grandkids, and on the side, all 12 grandkids have been practicing this special hula dance for the grandma for like 3 months, wasn't it? And we got the bird's eye view to watch her. I'm going to cry right now. And all of her grandchildren doing this special hula dance for her. And she was just in heaven. She was just so joyful. And I love that aspect of watching events. Yeah. It's kind of like we're part of their family, but yet little do they know they're part of our bigger family.
Yeah.
So
do you guys enjoy getting, kind of getting to know everyone else in the wedding network and really, like I know you guys came to the event show and, obviously doing like the podcast and things, but where, sometimes if you're buying the venue, right. And you're kind of entering this world, do you enjoy making all the connections and meeting everybody? And what's that been like?
Yes. So we love that aspect. Before we opened, we had a vendor open house. We had a vendor open house, a community open house, and a friends and family. We did all 3. And from the very beginning, it was important to us. We didn't want to limit our couples with the vendors that they choose from, but we want to be able to provide them great recommendations, support local, and support their personality and their style so that we can really know, this particular caterer does Hawaiian food or And it is, I think through our business background, Lisa and I both recognize the importance of networking and building that network. And so that's from day one, that's been a priority. We are members of WIPA. Mm-hmm. We were part of their charter members for Seattle, and we find great value in that. And in fact, some of the vendors we met there participated in our last open house. And it's really nice, especially right now with all the COVID craziness. I mean, having a strong network of vendors that you know and trust as we're all trying to support these couples. We can call, a planner we know really well, or a caterer, and we know that they're going to take care of our couples just as well as we are. And even to the point, we even enjoy networking with other venues because we don't see that as competition. There's only so many days in each weekend, so we can't possibly always be the choice. So we need to have great venues too to refer our couples to. Or if they come for a tour, it's like, I love your venue, but I want water. Well, we don't have a lake near us, so we can't, but where can we refer them to that will take great care of them? And we really strongly believe in supporting others as well and providing those referrals. And it works both ways, that we've experienced that as well.
We've had referrals come to us. One of my aha moments, if you will, is I think it was a WIPA webinar that I was watching, and they talked about the tide rising. And I hadn't heard that terminology before, but they said JFK had used that terminology in that if you lift one person up, or like if you lift one wedding vendor up, they all will be lifted up. So I kind of I see that as my next big step in business, is to form this rising tide group of vendors, kind of like what you're doing in this podcast, bringing people together and helping each other. And so we've done that with a couple of the local venues, and I'd like to do more of that. I think that makes us be able to support the community and support our couples better.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. And I mean, like you said, with everything going on, and that's been a common discussion I've had with people, offline, is some of these vendors, right now and trying to, they're offering these discounts and trying to undercut because, everyone's hurting. And it's like, we should be adding value to the community. Right. And like you guys, and giving back and adding education or adding networking or doing these things, I think is so important. It's like, don't detract from other people. You need to give back. What do you guys find the most, enjoyment in? What do you guys find the most pride in? What do you enjoy most about what you're doing now? And I know because it is, hard times, lots of reschedules, lots of like other things going on. So where are you guys finding the joy in what you guys are doing kind of in the day-to-day right now?
We find the joy every day. We just keep being creative in how we're helping. Like, back in March, we had our first COVID wedding, and the couple was shut down because they were at a city-owned venue, right? City-owned park. And they were reaching out to us, and I said, yeah, we totally can do that. And to be able
it was like a week's notice.
Notice, be able to pull that off in a week and be able to get them here and married. And they're going to even come back next March for a bigger reception. So that's the ability to have a small business, is our flexibility with all of our clients and clients moving forward. We're still booking. We're booking next year and the following year. We have never been so busy as we have in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We are working 10 and 12-hour days. Yeah. So I think that's like a testament to our ability to work with our clients, for our clients, and to help them navigate all these gray areas and where we see we can be supportive.
Yep. And we, even before COVID, we had worked with couples from 3 different venues that just the venue had been shut down suddenly for various reasons. And so we kind of had already had a bit of a crash course in how do we rehome these couples, help them create a new vision. And so when COVID happened, we were able to just, it's like we didn't skip a beat. Like, all right, this is what it is. How do we move forward? How do we help you? How do we make sure your wedding is still special and meaningful and what you want? And that meant something different for each client. Sometimes it's splitting it into 2, wed now, celebrate later. We've offered that. We're still offering that if they just really want to get married, but then they want to have the reception later. We're just like, all right, well, you have a 12-hour package. Let's figure out how we can split that up and just still accommodate everything that you want. And we also, I lost my train of thought.
The petite and sweet.
Yes, petite and sweet. So we also developed a new package that's really accommodating for, and I mean, still, like Lisa said, we're getting calls from couples that they're postponing their big event, but they want a secondary venue now for just something really small and intimate. So we created a package that just allows them 3 hours, get ready, do beautiful photos, because we have all the photo ops built in at the venue. If they would like cupcakes to go,
or a videographer to link this wedding ceremony with another event that they might have later, whether it be at their home or a reception later, and be able to make that a seamless event.
Yeah.
So
we really are. We're very positive, glass half full, we're like, okay, it's changing, but how can that be a good thing? How can we make it more intimate? We had a wedding just a couple weeks ago that was only 10 people. And originally, sure, they would have had like 75 or 100, but it was the most beautiful celebration, so intimate, so personal. They had family on via Zoom from Honduras.
Yes.
Nothing felt like it was lacking. It really didn't. It's just kind of changing that vision of what a wedding is supposed to be or could be. So we're still finding joy daily and just seeing our brides be able to walk down the aisle brings us joy.
Yeah.
Whether that's...
And really, it's not even all about brides.
No.
I mean, we've had retirement parties here, and we've launched people's, I would say, their new career.
Yeah.
Because now they've had their party here. We have friends that have moved to Montana, and they're loving life there. And they live in Montana now. We get referrals from their friends that live here.
Yeah. We just provided a tour to... the mother of the bride was at his retirement party, and it's like, almost a year later. Yeah. And she's like, I asked you for a tour during that party, and now my daughter's engaged. Let's do this.
So
it's just fun being able to continue to cross paths with our couples and their families.
And corporate events. We have some corporate events, whether it be like the board of directors meeting here. We got a referral from someone, they for a company, and they were looking for just a place to have a midweek meeting. And we have the screen, we have the tables and chairs, we have the space for catering, or they can bring their own food. And so that was another one generated from someone else had been here. So it's making everything positive. Yeah, we can have that.
The last question before we go, I want to ask, and I was so curious because where I've been to the venue and I've seen it, but what are people's favorite things about the venue? Just from I know you guys talked about the fireplace, and I didn't even know that you had built that or had that built, or commissioned, whatever that the wording is of that, right? I mean, I thought that had been there for a million years, right? Like I have no idea.
Yeah, it looks like it. It had its purpose, and but I think the favorite aspect, there's two, and one being the grass. We have a great grass field. We tell anybody, if you want to have a pickup game of soccer, bring your soccer ball, because there's plenty of land space. Not every venue has that open space and comfortable and safe for families. The other aspect that they love, and we talked about, is our porch swing. We put it up at our arbors, and it's great for family photos. And it's just something unique and special.
Yeah. And it's... people tell us all the time, they feel comfortable, they feel at home. And so guests really want to stay. They don't want to just like have dinner, have cake, we're gone. There's enough different areas of the venue it's just inviting and warm and relaxed. So there's a fire pit. You can hang out by the fire pit. We have the swing at the outdoor arbor. It's like every
and
time.
then people hang out in the tent.
Yeah.
So and then some people inside. So you've got 4 different areas for them to hang out. And we had to put up a sign that says the fire pit will close at this time because people don't want to leave.
They'll just still be at the fire pit.
Still be at the fire pit hanging out, and we're cleaning up, So
yeah, they feel comfortable. There's options. There's flexibility, and it feels like a place they want to hang out. Their guests want to hang out, and there are. I think the other favorite thing is just all the different photo ops with the fireplace and the brick sign and the greenery and the trees. And actually, the cottage might be a favorite. It's kind of hard to pick.
It is.
The cottage, we talked a little bit about it, but it's a separately fenced area for the wedding party. Either however they want to split that up. We have the upstairs getting ready suite and we have the outdoor cottage, but it's private out there. They have a dartboard. They have more grassy area, and it really works well if you have that handful of out-of-town guests that arrive like an hour early for a wedding. They have a place they can go to and hang out, and it's just kind of unique. We see grooms all the time like, oh, you're not going to just throw me in a shack or in a closet. I get my own space.
I get my own space. And right there, they're like, let's do this. And it's the groom that's saying, yeah, this is it. We want to stay here. We want to get married here. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, I'm so glad that you guys could both come on today. And I think it's fun to have everyone here. I think it's great. And I appreciate you guys taking the time, to share a little bit about it. And it's definitely, you can tell that you guys have a lot of pride in what you do. And I think that definitely comes through. So I hope that people will check you guys out because it's cool. It's just a really unique space. And I think that obviously you guys put a lot of pride into the work that you do.
Thank you.
We love it. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yes.
If people want to, see some of the beautiful photos and find more about what you guys do, where would you have them check out?
So they can check out the Five2Five.com and then on Instagram and Facebook at the Five2Five. And the key is, so it's spelled out FIVE, but then it's the number 2 FIVE. So that's the trick to find it.
FYI, that just happened to be the address. Our address is 525 Division Street. So that's how we came up with the name at 525.
It's perfect. Well, thank you guys again. I so appreciate you reaching out and wanting to come on. If you're listening and you're interested in coming on the podcast, you can go to bestmadevideos.com/podcast guest. And that's a nice, easy questionnaire we have set up. And we can get you in the system and try to see if it'll be a good fit. But I really appreciate it. And it was so great to connect with you guys, at the wedding that I was at. And then again, later on at the shows. And hopefully we can see each other again and have another wedding here coming up soon when, everything hopefully gets back to normal. So.
Sounds great. We'd love to have you. Yes.
Perfect. This has been another episode of Get to Know Your Wedding Pro. Be sure to check back next week for another Wedding Better interview. Thanks so much.